It's my feel-good breakfast show.
There are stories of believers, and we're inspired by them all. We invite you to write your story with us. Your story matters. ABSA.
And welcome back to your Expresso story on S3. Now, when it comes to relationships, there are many factors that contribute to a strong partnership. But one that is often overlooked, and I think often it's a battle, is finances. We talk about money.
Amen.
We're going to continue our relationship conversation going, except now we need to delve into the realm of finances and relationships.
And
a big one.
This is a tricky one, and this can really split a proper line between relationships. We're discussing money, which can be a real game changer. It's absolutely surprising how much it affects our everyday lives together. Now, as we navigate our relationships, we also need to think about our financial futures. Now, whether it's planning a vacation, buying a home, or saving for retirement, having these conversations can absolutely be tough, but also so crucial to the success of not only just your relationship, but you yourself. And this is why we need to have this convo right now, man.
So let's go. So, Zanele, let's just set the scene. A little earlier, you mentioned that if you were to get married, you're a one-person, marriage individual. Of course, no polyandry for you. But now, let's just say, hypothetically, you and a partner got together and you actually wanted to approach budgeting as a certain instance.
Yeah.
Do you think budgeting would be something that you'd be into, or would you keep your finances completely separate and or maybe combine them when things need it? I just want to know a bit more about that from you.
So you know what, gents? A famous philosopher once said, what's yours is ours and what's mine is mine. So we need to budget around your finances. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I'm joking. I'm joking a little bit, just a little, okay? But yes, yes, we definitely need to budget. I kind of feel like, especially you, Ralph, you mentioned like all of these things that are so important, from going on holidays to how we're going to retire to all of these different things. I think that if you're getting into a relationship with somebody that you see a long-term relationship with, then you definitely need to budget. We need to be looking at how we're spending our money, how it is that we can also practice, even if we're not married yet, to possibly, get through our finances, but also, how we're also saving and looking after ourselves. So I'm definitely that person who's like, let's bring the money together, maybe more of yours than mine, but let's do it. That's where I am. What about you guys?
Sure, Zanele, you
Sneaky badger.
yo.
I love that
Okay, but
quote.
it's cool. So let's talk about when there is an actual agreement or stress around finances, but then you're in a relationship. I want to tackle more of let's just say the relationship and the psychology thereof, because you don't want finances to put pressure on your relationship because of the stress of there not being enough, or we can't make it to the end of the month, or we want to get something that you want to get, but I don't want to get it, and now there's a stressor. So in your opinion, how would one get through that? How would you navigate that and still keep your relationship strong, but keep the finances and that conversation assertive, obviously driven by boundaries, but also effective?
Yeah, Zanele, I don't know about you on this one, but for me, I think it's quite important that we really have a truthful conversation with money. So if you really want to work with your partner, you have one or two options. Either you're the guy or the girl that handles the finances and you've taken up that role, it's been agreed to within the relationship, and you then, unfortunately, are taking on all the stress when it does come to the finances, because you put your hand up, you said you got this, but I don't think that's as realistic in this current economic climate that we do have. If you're not that blessed, I think the go-to for many South Africans is that we have to be honest with each other and say, listen, I'm struggling, I'm not dealing, or I'm stressed about this financial situation. How are you feeling about it, and why are you feeling the same or differently? If we get those honest answers out, I think the rest is so much easier, because if Zanele, I feel that if we were in a relationship and you stressing about money as much as I am, then maybe both of us need to have this conversation and be like, listen, babes, like, how are we going to get through this? And I think with two minds targeting that, it's going to be so much easier than me taking this all on my own and lying to you and saying, babes, it's cool, don't stress, I've got this. And meanwhile, I'm suffering and I'm taking massive hits. And it's a lie at the end of the day. I don't know. I feel strongly about that. I think the honesty needs to come through in moments like this. Zanele, would you agree with that?
I 100% agree with you, Ral. Like, jokes aside, I definitely feel like you said, particularly in our, economic, the atmosphere that we find ourselves in, I think that we definitely always need to look at what we can do from both our sides, right? And be honest with ourselves. But can I add, even in terms of the minds that you're talking about, not just 2 minds, I say 3 minds. I say that because of the economic climate that we find ourselves in, we need to add in another person, such as a little bit of a financial advisor, someone who's going to help us out. I mean, I know that ABSA has many who are able to always just kind of help people navigate that financial side of life. So what better way to kind of, map out our financials than sitting down with someone who truly understands them and kind of seeing, where there's a little bit of give, where there's a little bit of take, and what we can do to possibly look after ourselves for our future. What about you, Carl? What do you say?
Like that. You're not alone, bro.
I say that money means different things to different people, and this is why most of the conversations get to a point where they can't be agreed upon, because remember that people have financial trauma within their upbringing. Perhaps there was not enough to go around within their growing up, and then suddenly they got triggers in the relationship that triggers to those times where it is stuck, and now they have their own journey that they're traveling on. So if you are in a relationship, you got to actually listen to what your partner is saying. If they're saying we need this or we don't need that, I'm worried about. Start validating emotions first, and then start talking about the money, and then start looking at the strategies going forward and bringing in an extra person. But I think the biggest problem, not only because of the socioeconomic climate we're in South Africa, but it's also because I think we're not listening to each other and what money means to your partner. Because you don't know what they went through when they were growing up. You don't know how little the money was or how abundant it was. So I think let's start listening to the message and not the tone when your partner is discussing their financial stresses. Let's start there and build.
100%.
I think that's important.
100%. Yeah.
There we go.
I so agree with that, Carl. That was something that I was even going to say as well, where we have such different backgrounds, that it definitely is something we need to do. So I definitely agree with you with that.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, be honest with yourself before you even get into a relationship. And then I think the rest is a lot more easier because you can bring that honesty into a beautiful, safe space.
Yep.
Love these convos. I love these opinions. And I love those quotes, Anele. I'm going to keep that one close. But for now, I think it's more than just about money. I think it's about trust, teamwork, and many of these important qualities that you need to adopt and bring into a relationship. But we've got help and we've got assistance. You are not alone. With the help from ABSA, your financial story matters. So you can visit absa.co.za for insights on how to navigate finances together and build a secure future for all. We want more. Yes.
There are stories of strivers, and we're inspired by them all. We invite you to write your story with us. Your story matters. ABSA.